Hi, and welcome to Parenting on Empty. If you feel like your parenting energy meter is right over the E mark and you're running on fumes, you've come to the right place because we feel exactly the same way. And misery loves company. And we're so glad you're here. This is podcast number 19, which we recorded on the back of our deck, so you'll hear birds singing and an occasional dog bark. Enjoy the show, and thanks for listening.
Today what we're talking about is finding energy. Can you feel the energy in the room?
It's crackling. Coffee helps.
What do I mean by finding energy? Well, what kind of things can you do to fill yourself back up, to get that energy back up, to take on the task of parenting? There are things that you are just inherent in parenting that are just going to drain you. Certainly the act of discipline or just sometimes daily routines that you have to do in parenting can be draining. And you just don't get energy from that. And if that is all that you do are those tasks that simply drain you, eventually you're just going to run out. You'll be on empty, as it were. And so I think it's very important to find those things that can fill you back up. What is it that gives you energy?
I was thinking about when children are small, I think one thing that gives you energy back is the fact that they're small and cuddly. And I know that as I would rock our daughters, they'd just sit in my lap and they would cuddle in, that I got a lot of energy from just that moment of intimacy. Sometimes the long time they would just sit and want you to read a book or just sit and listen to music and rock and be together. As they get older and they're too big to do that and they don't really want to anymore, you have to kind of find other ways. But I have decided that for me, one of the things that gives me energy is that physical touch, that being next to one another. And so just a simple thing, and it's harder with a teenager because some teenagers get to the point where they just don't want to be touched. They don't want anything. Just go away. Fortunately, our daughter is still very touch sensitive and still needs a lot of it. So for the most part, I can find ways that she'll accept touch, either sitting close next to her on the couch or just going in her room and laying down on her bed and having her sit next to me, or she's laying down and I sit next to her. But finding ways that are acceptable to both of you that enable you to feel that connection, and for the child who, even as they get older and think, oh, I don't need it, they still need it. All of us need physical touch. So for me, one of the ways is finding ways to connect on a physical level that is positive touch, whether it's tickling or cuddling or holding hands or putting my arm around her or giving her a hug or whatever. Another way that I get energy, and this is kind of weird, is I get energy from planning things and from organizing things. Neither one of my daughters are really that way.
And you say it's kind of weird, and I think it's important that we define that energy, because it's not just energy is not being well rested and ready for the task ahead. It's that it's a bit of a psychological thing too, because I was going to mention with touch that it can seem like a paradox with me to say, well, I'm going to get energy from wrestling with my daughters, and but you're expending energy when you're wrestling and tickling and having this match. But the fact that you're having that physical contact, that can give you energy. So it sounds like a bit of a paradox that you could wear yourself out from doing this wrestling, but what you feel inside is that you've made this connection and you've deepened a relationship, and that gives you motivation. It's
a replenishing of your emotional stability, your emotional happiness, your sense of well-being.
Yeah,
that makes you want to keep going.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point. It wards off being emotionally spent, and that's what I'm talking about.
It is. About the only way to replenish physical energy is food and rest.
So it would be a real simple podcast if that's all we were talking about.
Exactly, the end.
Get
and
plenty of
exercise,
rest.
And exercise, that can renew
Who wants
your
to talk
energy.
about exercise?
Yeah, I know. And coffee.
Yes.
And sometimes chocolate. But the fact that I like organizing and I like planning, I have to do a lot of creative gymnastics to sell that to my kids as, oh, this is a fun activity to do with mom. And sometimes I'm successful at it and sometimes I'm not. With my older daughter, I have just had to decide I'm not going to organize her room anymore. The fact that it's an utter chaos means that's what she's going to live in for right now, because I may have gotten energy from cleaning it up and organizing it, but she did not. And in fact, she saw it as a kind of a lessening of her independence, or of me thinking what she's doing is okay, almost like I was coming down on her instead of, hey, let's do this fun thing together. It was more a threat, because part of organizing is getting rid of things that you're not using, and she's a hoarder. She likes to keep everything. And when you have hundreds of little items that you're constantly being asked, can we get rid of this? Have you used it recently? Why do you want to keep it? That's just terribly stressful for her.
Yeah, and for me, I just walking into her room can drain me from energy. I can just walk in there and feel the energy draining from me, because that just, it's a bit depressing. I usually like to have things a little more organized. I'm not like perfectly organized, but yeah, that kind of thing. So if I had my druthers, I'd just probably use the police tape that, crime scene, do not cross, and tape it across her door. And so I make sure I don't go in there, because that's hazardous to my health, to my well-being.
It is, and it's somewhat frustrating, but I figure, we're the adults here, so we have to find other ways to connect with her and to find our energy renewer, because that ain't it. It's too caustic and too costly for her.
Yeah.
So probably the title of this podcast is not just how do you get energy, but how do you get energy in a positive way that works for you and your kids?
Right. Yeah.
Because I get energy from cleaning her room, no matter how she feels about it. But what it does to our relationship and the lashback, it's not worth it.
Right. Yeah.
So finding things, for me, it's a little easier for you, because a lot of the things that give you energy, the kids really like as well. Neither one of them really get off on planning things. Mariah, the older child, enjoys the things that I've planned, but she's not crazy about the whole planning process. She's more, let's just have the event and let it happen.
Yeah.
Which drives me nuts. So, to be honest, I'm still figuring out what are the ways that I can use the things that replenish me. And I reading books. Mariah really doesn't like books. She does like when I read out loud to her. So that's the one thing that I've been able to, once in a while, connect with her. And the younger one still really likes being read to, so I do that on a regular basis. We read every night, the Bible, and then I try to read a book whenever I can to her as well. But I also like walking. I get a lot of energy out of just going outside and enjoying the outside, the beauty, the weather, the fresh air. It just invigorates me. And both of our girls like to walk.
Yeah, right.
The difficulty is on a physical level. I've had some things in the last 2 years that have made it hard for me to walk. So what do you do when the one thing that you can connect on is kind of taken away from you? Do you just never have any energy?
Right.
Or do you find some other ways?
Yeah, and that's one thing we just want to encourage people to explore. That if you don't know, you're listening to this and saying, I just don't know what it is that would emotionally charge me or give me energy, then we just want to stress the importance of being able to explore that, to challenge you, to encourage you to do that, because the rewards are incredible. I really believe the rewards are incredible. Creative endeavors is what gives me energy. and I feel pretty blessed about that because just about anything creative can give me energy, no matter how big or small. And so doing crafts, and kids love doing crafts. Our kids love doing crafts. I get energy from that, and I have to be careful to monitor myself because I'll end up taking over the craft time. It's like, well,
we show you how it should be
get out
done.
of the way. You're in my way. I got to do this. It's going to be great. You're going to love this. And so I find then I have to look over my shoulder and I realize, kids are just watching me do this. It's like, no, don't touch that. That's not ready yet. So, so my challenge is involving them in the creative process, or just even sitting back and watching them in the creative process. I can get energy from. Our daughter plays the guitar, electric guitar. We got her an electric guitar a couple of years back, and honestly, just listening to her play. She'll go up to her room and she'll play some songs, and just listening to her play can give me energy because she is involved in the creative process of creating music.
Right.
And that is very encouraging to me and gives me energy. And when they were younger, they would get together with friends. We'd have friends over, and they would involve their friends in putting on these plays. Just silly little plays, and that made absolutely no sense, at least to us. I'm sure they made perfect sense to them. But just watching the results of their creative endeavors was something that was encouraging to me, that gave me energy.
I also get energy from creativity being expressed, and I like to watch it. The curse for me, and it is a little bit of a curse for you, but you're better at handling it than I am, is the perfectionism that often comes along with it.
Oh, yeah.
You're better at letting things go. I have to be monitoring myself all the time because I constantly want to make it better. Okay, that's good, but let's work on making it better. And neither one of our girls are detail-oriented or really concerned about making things the best. They are interested in and enjoy making something, whether it's a play or writing a song or singing the song or performing something. They're all into the actual doing of it. They're not all into do you want to learn how to do it better? They're not into learning the craft.
Right.
They're just into the actual performance of the activity. And as a person who's innately a teacher and then innately perfectionistic, it's very, very difficult to just sit back and let it happen and find energy from that. So sometimes it's kind of a zero energy thing for me because I'll get energy from the actual creativity, but then the energy is sucked out because I'm constantly having to tell myself to hold back. Just let it be. Don't monitor it. Don't tell them how it can be better. Just support what they're doing. It's okay. They're not wanting to be professionals in this area. Just encourage the creative, imaginative process. In the end, it'll be good. I have to have huge conversations, which eventually is very draining.
Yeah, right. And I guess you have to monitor that. Just as I was saying, I have to do the same thing. And yeah, I've got certain OCD tendencies. When we go to the Lowe's Build and Grow with our 7-year-old, they have a little kit, which is a great idea if you like the creative process, because they do everything for you. The kit's right there, and they have the hammers and the little apron and everything there for you. You just have to show up.
So this is Lowe's Hardware Store.
Lowe's Hardware Store. And the directions are pretty basic, pretty easy to follow. My Achilles heel is at the end when you start putting the stickers on. Or I should say, when our 7-year-old starts putting the stickers on, they're just not straight. And it's just... that's where I need therapy. Can you just maybe put the like a even? The sticker's not actually on the wheel; it's actually wrapped around the bottom of the wheels. Let's just take that off and put it on straight. Oh, that's perfect there. So yeah, I have to fight that. If it is draining for you, then yeah, don't do it. Try to find something that is.
Well, I don't think it's that you don't do it if it's draining for you, because you might not do anything.
Well, that's true. That did flash through my mind when I said that.
So it isn't a matter of you quit doing if it's draining for you, but if you find yourself being continually drained, you have to find a way to replenish that. And we're encouraging people and ourselves to try to find ways to replenish with your kids. But sometimes the bottom line is you have to replenish by being away. And honestly, that's why I read books, because I can open a book and be away.
Yeah.
Some people need to go out and play an athletic sport because they need that kind of physical getting away where they're actually releasing a lot of that pent-up energy and frustration. Some people may just need to take a long bath. You may need to take a long weekend together as a couple, but go out with the girls or go out with the guys, your friends, for an evening, go to a movie, go to a coffee shop, whatever it is. But that renewal time and that refreshing time is really critical. And we've talked before in our podcasts about guilt, and that sometimes it's easy to feel guilty about needing to get away and needing to replenish in a way outside the family. But I think everybody benefits if you can do that. I think one way that you replenish is you have a few outside activities that use your musical abilities that you can do every once in a while. And it's not 100% exactly what you would like it to be, but it at least allows you to do your creativity with a group of people that are a little more driven to do it well than our daughters.
Right.
And you get to use your creativity in the plays that I produce at my university, that you know that I'm always looking for the best product, and I spur you on to doing good work and you spur me on, and the end product ends up being way better than what it would be if it was just you or just me. So we have some really good outlets for our creativity that give us energy, that make us feel fulfilled and satisfied outside of the home. But the challenge is, how do you do it inside the home? Our girls like to bake and cook, and I will do that with them, and I enjoy that. But once again, it still includes self-talk, because they make a mess.
Right.
And they don't really care about making the mess. The fact that there's flour all over the floor, I have to point it out. You see that flour? Do you think it's a good idea to leave that there? Probably not. What do you think should be done about that? Last night, Mariah made cookies, and I just mentioned ahead of time, make sure you clean up after yourself. And she came back later, and she was so proud of herself because she had cleaned the kitchen entirely. Not just the dishes. She'd wiped the counters down.
That's
She'd
great.
washed the dishes, put them away. Yeah, it was pretty incredible. It was one of those moments where it was payback. Yeah, something is sinking in. Amazing.
Success.
And that's, I think, part of the energy.
Yeah.
Where you do invest the time, even though it's a little frustrating, in an area that you really enjoy. And eventually, it tends to catch, and they do begin participating in a way that you can be less frustrated.
Right, yeah. I don't know, we could talk about the fact that maybe some people listening to this aren't really sure what gives them energy. Maybe they've never done that before. As they sit and listen and think, I don't know that I do anything that even gives me energy, let alone doing it with my kids, just myself. I have a routine and I get through the day, but that concept of something that emotionally restores me might be new to some people.
And I think probably the easiest way to find that out is ask yourself, what are the things that you really enjoy? Maybe you like rebuilding car engines. Maybe you like gardening. Maybe you like putting toothpicks under people's nails. By the way, I wouldn't encourage that one.
We're not endorsing that.
No, you might need counseling if that's the one you enjoy. But just ask yourself, what are the things that I enjoy doing? And maybe the drawback is that the things you enjoy doing cost a lot of money and you can't afford it.
Right.
So if that's true, then what are some ways that you can enjoy it without spending the money? For example, I love to travel. I get a lot of energy out of traveling. We've done a lot of traveling in our married life. I come back energized when we go places and we visit places and we, just the whole planning of the trip I get energy from, and then the actual being there. For years, we couldn't afford to do the kind of traveling that I wanted to do. But we could afford a subscription to a magazine that featured the United Kingdom. And I'm a bit of an Anglophile, so I would get these magazines that had absolutely beautiful pictures of England and Ireland and Scotland, and they would have articles about places to go and things to do. And for 5 years, I found a lot of my energy and pleasure that normally I would get from traveling from just looking at those magazines and thinking about what it would be like and thinking about a list of places that eventually I'd like to go to and things that I'd like to do. And then we were able to, after about 5 years, take a trip. And I was totally prepared because I already knew everything that I wanted to do and where I wanted to go and what we had to do to make that happen.
Yeah.
So I think that there are creative ways of finding ways to connect with the thing that makes you energized, that makes you feel fulfilled, even if you don't have the finances. You can be, even if you can't afford the magazine subscription, you can go to the public library and they're going to have things there. If you enjoy gardening but can't afford the plants, well, go get books about how to and look at pictures of flowers and save your quarters.
Right.
Until you have enough quarters that you can buy one plant.
Yeah.
And plant that one plant and nurture it and enjoy it, feature it, put it in a place where you can see it every day and say, that's my thing.
Exactly. My friend Steve Galen, we recorded a podcast earlier together. He enjoys watching movies. Growing up as a kid, that was always an important thing for him, just going to movies and talking about them. And when he had kids, when they got old enough, he just takes the kids along to the movies. And that's he gets energy from that, and then the kids are involved in that, and then they can watch the movie together, and they can talk about it, and he's getting energy, and he's emotionally being encouraged, and his kids are getting the benefit of a relationship and having that common theme to talk about those kind of things. And fortunately, there are a lot of movies today fit in the category of something that's interesting to adults and kids alike.
And fortunately, now you can rent them really cheaply. Going to a theater is still pretty expensive.
Sure.
But you can rent them from Redbox for $1, $2.
There you go, yeah. Right.
So it can be a fairly inexpensive night with the family.
Yeah. So hopefully maybe that gave you some ideas. Maybe you were encouraged by that, or perhaps challenged. And if so, that's a good thing. We want to challenge you to find that thing that gives you energy.
And if it's something like just togetherness, I think using your creativity to figure out ways to promote togetherness in your family. If you're a person who really flourishes with a lot of positive input, well, establish a tradition that every night at supper, or maybe if that's too intimidating, once a week, have a meal together, and at the meal, everybody says one positive thing about each person at the table. Begin to encourage positive chatter and conversation amongst the family. If you're a person who likes the togetherness but doesn't have money and you don't really like to plan things, well, then buy a volleyball or a croquet set, and there are lots of little lawn games that are fairly inexpensive that you can set up in your lawn and go play together. You don't have to have any skill. what is that game we have with the ball? Ladder ball.
Yes,
You can make it yourself.
we made it ourselves.
And it's really fun, and you can be 3 years old and play it, and 80 years old and play it. And it'll last for a long time. Lots of options if you can pinpoint, this is what I really enjoy. This is what makes me feel good. This is what makes me want to keep going. Then find ways to encourage that.